Looksmaxing is seen as a gimmick, it's seen as a scam, it's seen in a negative light, and in many ways it is. At the very best, some people will say, well, at least the people are going to the gym, people are eating cleaner, and people are trying to improve their health. At the very worst are extreme, crazy techniques which can have a negative impact on people's lives, lead to a spiraling of mental health and a complete lack of belief in themselves and in the ideology that looks are all that matters and that they desperately have to try to improve their looks in order to be seen as worthy. Thumbpulling. It's a controversial term. Some of you may have heard of it. Some of you may even have tried it, but I can guarantee one thing, even my biggest supporters don't believe in it. And how could you? Because you don't have the complete information to be able to truly understand it. Well, that's exactly why I've made this video, to put an end to all of the lies, all of the scams, all of the myths, and break everything down in one video in the ultimate step-by-step thumbpulling guide. No lies, no scams, just straight to the point, gold dust, so that you can have the information to use this life-changing technique to improve your life, improve your face, rewire your health, and change your habits forever. And if you don't know who I am, quick side note, my name is Oscar Patel. I help people improve their looks by fixing the real root cause, which is your health. I've interned at various myofunctional institutes. At the same time, I've researched on scientific studies. I've worked directly with professors, and I've obsessed over this for the last 3 years, to the point where now I'm lucky enough to have the largest health-based school community in the world, and I was able to fix my asthma, my chronic breathing problems, my recessed jaw, my sleep apnea, my TMJ, the list goes on. I was able to fully fix everything from the inside out by addressing the real root cause, your health. And I'm going to break down exactly in this video how you can do the same with a technique which you probably just won't believe in. Okay, I'm super excited for this video, just to even expand your minds and be honest and open and really kind of put this technique out there. And for those that already subscribed to me, I forgot to say this is a legendary video, so let's get into it. Most of my critics will say that thumbpulling isn't real because it doesn't work like an actual palate expander does, and that it can't apply a constant force like MSC. And honestly, that was part of my own explanation in the past. I used to compare thumbpulling to MSC, which is the mechanical screw expander that orthodontists use. You twist the screw, it applies 10 to 20 pounds of force for a moment, and then nothing. Bone responds, you activate it again, intermittent force, just like thumbpulling. And that's why I thought it worked. Frost's mechanostat theory puts the bone's adaptive threshold as low as 15 to 25 newtons, and your thumbs can objectively apply up to 40 newtons of force, and especially if you combine it with the chin tuck, even more. So if that's true, why would people think it doesn't work? Well, because the comparison to a palate expander or MSC sounds convincing, but it's actually flawed. If force bursts alone create better bone structure, then fighters who take hundreds of punches to the face would have incredible jawlines. Yet, most have flat faces. It would also mean that you could get bone growth without putting your tongue in the palate. But that idea isn't supported by the history of expander devices. Okay, now stay with me. This is where things are getting saucy. 100 years ago, orthodontists only used expanders because they knew faces were growing too small. However, it almost always relapsed. But Dr. John Mew, the GOAT, discovered they failed because they ignored the tongue's role as the face's natural retainer. The tongue can apply up to 500 grams of force, guiding bone growth in a way pushing alone can't. So the problem isn't if the thumbs can move bone, they can, but it will relapse. So why did I use this as the explanation before? Because it was the closest analogy I could find at the time. But there's a problem. If you stop applying the force, the changes can relapse unless the tongue is acting as the natural retainer. And that's why MSC patients or people with palate expanders or a history of palate expanders, orthodontic patients and jaw surgery patients relapse if they never learn how to have correct tongue posture. So if the explanation was wrong, does that mean thumbpulling doesn't work? Well, no, that's the illogical part. I've changed thousands of faces. Everyone in the comments, there will be people giving testimonial to their results, and something is clearly working. It's not a question of does it work, it's why does it work, and how do we make it work even better? If it's objectively expanded people's palates, and we've got hundreds of photos in the exact same lighting seeing clear results. You've got my back and forth of me completely fixing my teeth, which no orthodontist can explain, just from naturally expanding my palate with my thumbs and habits. So it's not a question of does it work, it's why does it work, and how do we make it even better and stable and sustainable? And is that where the new theory or expanded nuanced theory comes in? Well, exactly. That's when a new team member, David Dinon, who used to be Dr. Mike Muse, editor and scriptwriter, joined the team. He recognized my system worked, but he also had some game-changing suggestions for what the real nuanced theory is and how to upgrade thumb pulling so it aligns more with the principles of NCR. And this is what I've been working on, or we've been working on very hard for the last few months in the background. We recognized that my thumb pulling technique was actually very similar to NCR, neurocranial restructuring therapy, and also cranial sacral therapy. Both work by releasing pressure inside the skull instead of forcing bones apart like an expander. As a result, they indirectly trigger bone growth by loosening the fascia and decompressing cranial sutures. This restores mobility in the skull and improves spinal fluid circulation, which is essential for healthy fascial development. So how does this help with tongue posture and mewing? Well, the tongue is the main driver of forward facial growth, but most people today have tight fascia and restricted soft tissue in the palate. This restriction fights against the tongue's pressure, holding back mewing results. By adding thumb pulling, you release those restrictions, the fascia relaxes, sutures open, and the maxilla becomes more responsive to tongue pressure. This can literally feel euphoric, it will feel good, you will hear it, you will feel it. It will even feel amazing because the release allows a rush of spinal fluid to the brain, delivering more nutrients and oxygen. But how does this compare to chiropractors or osteopaths? How do you prevent asymmetry? How do you make it sustainable? Well, stay with me now. This is where the video is getting even better. Do not click off yet because I'm about to expand your mind like thumb pulling will expand your palate. I'm getting excited. And by the way, just random side note, if you don't know what the fascia is or the sutures are the joints in your skull, which connect the bones, and the fascia is a layer of connective tissue that goes throughout the entire body, which when you stretch it, allows muscles to elongate, allows everything to work fluidly, and is fundamental. So we're comparing this to chiropractors and osteopaths now, and how do they get results, but as a result, they also often get relapse, remember, which is the big problem with expanders. That's because the fascia acts like strings in a marionette, connecting your entire body. If you loosen one area, the force will be low there, but high in the rest of the body, pulling it back into the old position. You might feel great leaving the session after you go see a chiropractor or osteopath, but by the time you get to your car, your body has snapped back. NCR avoids that. NCR was designed as an improvement. It relaxes the entire fascial system in the body and face first, so nothing is pulling you back. Then it aligns the body just like chin tucking and wall alignment when you thumb pull, except with yoga blocks. So when the sphenoid bone, which is the bone behind your maxilla in the back of your skull, middle of your skull, is moved, the change is stable. The sphenoid connects to over 21 other bones in the skull and almost every major fascial line. Move it in the wrong posture and you can actually lock yourself into a worse position. Move it in the right posture and you can get improvements in both body and fascial alignment. So thumb pulling is basically an at-home version of this amazing therapy, and I'd intuitively found it as a way to replicate some of NCR's effects at home. I've been doing myofunctional exercises, I've been rewiring my tongue posture, I've been fixing my body from the inside out, but I put together just naturally and intuitively this kind of technique of chin tucking, of aligning my fascia, loosening my sutures by using something that's biologically connected to my body, my thumbs, because obviously connected through the nervous system. If you push too hard, you'll feel pain, etc. And hearing natural relief without any external devices, while also engaging the chin tuck and therefore your neck muscles and also your body in a functional position. But I'll get more into all of this, but hopefully the pieces are starting to connect in your mind, and I'm going to answer all of the objections and questions, so don't worry, but we're nearly there. Okay, but I know I'm selling it so hard. Well, this sounds amazing. Oh, I can do it for free. Why would I not do this? Well, why wouldn't you? But there is one flaw, and that explains why some results can be inconsistent. Why you'll see people in the comments who expand their palate 5 millimeters, but others who've done it for months and not seen changes. It comes down to whether your body posture is truly free before you start. There are 3 key myofascial lines that control your overall body posture. You've got the superficial back line, the superficial front line, and the deep front line. If these are tight, they can pull your skull and jaw back into the old position. No matter how good your thumb pulling technique is, you'll be pulled back into this rigid position, or you'll experience relapse. You won't hear any kind of creaking sounds of your sutures loosening, and you won't really fully benefit from it. This next part is something I've never talked about ever online, and this is the progression of how to really benefit from all of this for free. I didn't say all of this partially because I wanted to like gatekeep a tiny bit, but at the same time to make sure that I was correct, to make sure that all of this was backed up. I didn't want to back myself in a corner, get knocked down by bloody Mike Tyson when I didn't understand all of this with complete and utter nuance. And as I'm expanding the definition of the term, I'm also willing to give you guys a bit more source so that everyone can benefit naturally for free. What you need to realize is you need to release all of the tension throughout your entire body before you thumb pull in order to experience the results. And I won't give away all of the absolute source right now, but here's a very basic good routine that you can use to get cracking so that you can actually feel it, experience it, and know for yourself that it's true. Firstly, you need to do Cobra pose. You need to hold it for 30 to 60 seconds to open up the front line and the chest. Secondly, you then do another exercise, which is the forward fold. You hold this for 30 to 60 seconds to release the superficial back line. And then you do neck and shoulder retraction. Pull the shoulders back and lengthen the neck and look up onto forward head posture like this. These sustained stretches align your body so the changes you make with thumb pulling hold and happen faster. And another easier way to loosen fascia is also with heat. So if you were to do a hot bath or a sauna or a hot shower, even though saunas aren't the best, it would be good to just like speed run this stuff. If you were to go in the sauna and thumb pull, you would feel it exponentially more. You would speed run the results. And that isn't because of anything other than the fact that your fascia loosens because of the heat. It's as easy and simple and logical as that. And then you're going to get into the proper exercise. And I'm going to rerun exactly how to do it. And I'm also going to give away one of the most sacred little tidbits of information that I just have never said. You know what I really want is I want everyone to get the craziest results. I want everyone to loosen their fascia, change their body posture, eat healthy, do all of the hormone stuff, do all the diet stuff, have perfect tongue posture, add thumb pulling in, and you can realize that you can literally change everything from the inside out. I don't think people realize how truthful I'm being about how cooked I was. And I say this, I was absolutely cooked, and obviously I'm not the best looking person in the world by any means now. I'm a bit tired. I've just got off a plane, but at the same time, you can really change everything around much more easily than you realize. I fixed my teeth. I fixed and expanded my palate by nearly 8 millimeters. I rewired my entire body. I grew taller. I fixed my anterior pelvic tilt. I brought my jaw forward who knows how many millimeters. I rewired my skin. I fixed my gut health. I did all of this, and this is all interconnected. It's all correlated to health. So as a random side tangent, before I just fully explain the thumb pulling technique, anyone in this space, in the Looksmaxing space, that is trying to sell you anything that isn't correlated to health doesn't work. And I know it's hard to understand, and especially before watching this video, it's almost impossible to understand how thumb pulling is correlated to health. Well, this is starting to help you understand it. If you loosen your entire body fascia and apply upward and outward pressure on your palate, which loosens the sutures, loosens the fascia, slowly expands the palate and allows for the tongue and your chewing, swallowing, breathing posture to improve and your airways to open up and your neck muscles to engage when you chin tuck and thumb pull at the same time, obviously you're improving your health, because the reason that we find wide jaws attractive isn't because we find wide jaws attractive, but because a wider jaw means you can breathe better because you have wider airways, you can breathe better, you live longer, so you're healthier, and that is exactly why we find it attractive. Animals are biologically hardwired to pick the healthiest mate, and the sad reality is of the modern world, no matter how good looking you think you are, which I'm sure many of you lovely chaps and chapettes are good looking, but your palate is still way narrower than it should be. You probably had malocclusion, you probably had slightly messed up teeth, you probably had to get braces, probably have bad posture or something slightly off even if you think you're good, and this is the easiest way to begin to recorrect it with no negatives. Okay, now no more waffle, let's get exactly into how to do the technique. How do you actually perform thumb pulling perfectly with no risk so that you don't cause asymmetry, so you don't mess things up and you can just nail it? Well, here we go. You're gonna stand up against the wall. Obviously I'm sitting, but you need to be standing up against the wall. There's no other way to do it. I know you'll say, oh, what if I lie down and do this? Well, just stop overthinking it, mate, and have some faith in me for doing this all pretty well. What you're gonna do is stand up against the wall, put your entire body against the wall and step your feet 6 inches forward off of the wall. The rest of your body is gonna be on the wall. You're then going to put your shoulders up, roll them all the way back and tuck your chin directly to your neck with perfect posture. You should be completely lined against the wall, your feet in the front, literally giving yourself as many double chins as possible, making yourself as ugly as possible so that you can perfectly align the fascia when you do it. If your body's in perfect alignment, then when you thumb pull, you can release and loosen the fascia properly, especially if you do that little routine of opening up the superficial lines, etc. So you're going to stand against the wall, you're going to tuck your chins, and you are going to begin thumb pulling by taking your thumbs, putting them in the middle of your palate, like that, on your palate, not on your teeth, but obviously behind your teeth. You can't move your teeth out of alignment, because if you expand your palate, that's the reason why we actually have malocclusion in the first place, or crowded teeth, is because our palates aren't wide enough for the teeth to grow in properly. You can't expand your palate and get malocclusion. You'll just get a wider palate and better looking smile. So stand up, put your thumbs in the middle of your palate. You're going to tuck your chin all the way to your neck. You're going to push upwards and outwards, mostly outwards, while tucking your chin to your neck, and you're going to hold it for 30 seconds. You're going to do it at quite a lot of pressure. You're going to hold it. You will feel the tension within your face. You'll feel it, but the most important thing is you need to be chin tucking correctly. You are then going to hold this position for 30 seconds, and then you are going to do the most important thing, which is you are going to allow a release, okay? You are going to hold this position, tuck your chin to your neck, push upwards and outwards with your thumbs. You're not going to rip your palate apart. Obviously, it's biologically regulated by your thumbs, so you'll feel if you're doing anything with too much force. It's very, very easy. And then you are going to follow up. You are going to stop resisting with your neck. You're going to stretch your neck beforehand so that you can make sure you have mobility within your neck and you can push your head all the way back. You're going to do, imagine 2 gears. You're going to stop resisting with your neck. You're going to maintain the pressure with your thumbs. Obviously not like ripping it apart, but controlled, steady, powerful pressure. And you are going to follow up backwards, and this is how you are going to fully loosen the sutures. And if you're able to do that, you will feel the relief. You will feel your mid-palatal suture loosening. You will have aligned the fascia and then loosened it, and then you return back to base position. You're not yanking, you're doing it in a slow, controlled, steady way. And that is how you properly thumb pull with the warm-up, with the follow-up to loosen the fascia, loosen the sutures, and really, really cook. And that is how you will speed run the results. You can do obviously more myofunctional exercises. You can do things like massaging your palate. You can do something like zygo pulling beforehand, which again, zygo pulling is not intended to shift your cheekbones. It's intended to loosen the fascia. If you go like this and loosen the fascia, that's a key point because it's connected to the zygomatic maxillary suture. You will then follow up. You will then hear and feel the relief. You'll feel very good. You will repeat it. You will shift to the front of your palate, the back of your palate, and each 3 spots. There are 3 main spots, but the most important is the middle of your palate to obviously expand. The other 2 are for releasing the fascia and loosening in different points. And that will be your thumb pulling routine. The way I'd recommend to do it is to set a timer on your phone for 3 or 4 minutes. I would do it ideally 2 to 3 times a day if you really want to speed run results, and you absolutely nail it like that. You do it consistently, you do it intensely, you do it controlled, you loosen your fascia, you understand the thing, the concept and the topic, you mew and have proper tongue posture throughout the day. You can do other myofunctional or myofascial exercises. If you were to sleep with something like zygo tape to maintain muscular tension, you would also then loosen your fascia further and engage the muscles, which would then help you with thumb pulling, which would help you with breathing, which would open up your airways. At the same time, when you're chin tucking, you're also engaging the neck muscles, which is functional for craniofacial development because your neck obviously supports your head. So at the very least, even if after all of this, you still don't believe in thumb pulling, you are at the very least training your neck muscles. There is no risk of asymmetry because you are against the wall, chin tucked. If you start tipping to one side, your head will shift onto the wall, your shoulder will come off the wall. If you are stably against the wall, you cannot have asymmetry. You will actually help asymmetry because the main root cause of asymmetry is an imbalanced palate, one side being too large compared to the other. So if you're providing even pressure, if you're chin tucked and if your body's aligned and you've loosened your fascia and you're applying even pressure, the side that is less developed, you're going to provide the same amount of pressure to each side. The side that's less developed will have to work harder under the same amount of force, which will mean it will adapt quicker, it will even out, it will balance out your asymmetry as well. It will develop everything upwards and forwards. It will expand your palate, make your face better, make your breathing better, help with things like sleep apnea and asthma. At the same time, you combine that with everything else, you are going to feel, look, and function at the highest level. Even if you're not doing this for looks or health, your breathing will be better, and the less breaths you take, the longer you live. The deeper you breathe, the longer you live. So if you improve your breathing, you'll improve your productivity, you'll feel calmer, you'll stay in alpha waves when you wake up, you'll stay in parasympathetic, and you'll be the best version of yourself. You'll make more money, you'll be more efficient, you will take action and ascend. So this is the real way. This is the source, people. You're gonna absolutely cook with all of this stuff. That's the base routine. You can add other things in. If you do want access to more, if you want to work with me directly or speak with me directly or have a community of 1,500 plus people that have seen real results, that have actually changed their looks by fixing their health and improve their quality of life, you're more than welcome to join the link in the description, which is a link to my community where you can speak with me directly if you have specific problems. If you want to combine it with other things and really speed run it all, then knowledge is power. Inside the community, you'll get the full transformation system, my step-by-step protocol for developing your facial bones naturally. You'll also get diet guidance for optimal bone growth and skin health. You'll get a thumb pulling masterclass, the complete safe posture technique to unlock facial mobility with a full protocol, especially if it's personalized to you, it's even more effective. You'll also get posture and height protocols to fix anterior pelvic tilt, bow-leggedness, and even gain an extra inch of height no matter how old you are naturally. You'll get weekly group Q&A calls where you can ask me anything on a call directly to help with your progress. You'll also be able to message me directly. You'll get a daily habit framework that takes minutes a day and fits easily into your lifestyle. This stuff shouldn't take much of your time. It should be 20 minutes spent per day max, and that's how you see the best results. And you'll also get access to monthly prizes and glow up challenges. We're currently running a $3,500 glow up challenge to incentivize people to become the best version of themselves. And you also get access to a load of other people who are pushing you to win. So if you want to join, you're more than welcome. But at the same time, every month you wait, your fascia and posture settle deeper into the patterns that hold your face back. The sooner you start, the sooner your tongue, posture, and bone growth start working together, and the sooner you see the sharp jawline. Obviously, the younger you start all of this, the more effective. I've seen it. I have a transformation, which you'll be able to see in the community, of a guy who's 70 years old, who's transformed his face and bone structure and expanded his palate 2.5 millimeters. You have no excuse not to do this at any age. Your sutures don't fully fuse until your late 30s, and in most cases, they never actually fully fuse. Your fascia is always adaptable. The muscles are always adaptable. You've got no excuses. You need to realize that all of this should go hand in hand with the rest of your life. If you start improving your health, it's the only thing that's a catalyst for every aspect of your life. You don't need to join my community or do whatever, or you do owe it to yourself to start taking action and start realizing how to do things properly. So hopefully this expanded your mind. I've got loads of stuff coming. We are going to run an actual scientific study on thumb pulling. I've got orthodontists, NCR practitioners, experts in their fields, cranial osteopaths, people who I'm working with, who are backing all of this up, who are using this technique to literally revitalize people. And this is going to be the most exciting time ahead. I'm very grateful for all of you that have watched this video. I'm very grateful for all of you that have tried the technique and benefited. That is all I ever wanted. That is my sole mission, to really help people and to make a difference in a world full of absolute lies. So you've got this, take action, stop being absolutely cooked, have an amazing day, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It is the start of many. Peace.